Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to do like an updated makeup routine and just showing you guys the products that I use. If you guys follow me on TikTok, a lot of my comments are really just about asking like the products that I use, which shade, what brand, this and that. So this YouTube video is specifically for all the girlies who always ask me what I use. I do message back on TikTok as much as I can, but so much people ask me the same question. So I thought, why not just do a video out there? And I was thinking about doing a TikTok, but I can't really get in depth on TikTok as I can here on YouTube. So that's why I'm doing it on here. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. If you guys want to see all the products that I use, keep watching. Okay, first things first, can we hear a little commotion for the makeup bag? So this is obviously Juicy Couture. Juicy is back these days. Like I've been seeing a lot of like Juicy Couture like sweatsuit makeup bags and stuff like that. So I got this from Ross. There was literally like so much to choose. I was gonna get a black one, but my hubby chose this one. So this was only $14. Don't mind the inside, it looks crazy, but it has like this little compartments for brushes. But anyways, first things first, I got my hair done Thursday. It's Sunday today, so this is 3-day hair, but I'm gonna insert a little clip of my hair after my hairstylist Marlene, located in Mansfield. I'll add her somewhere on the screen. I literally just sent her an inspo and she literally did just that. My hair was in need of some TLC. I am going to be using, it's nighttime right now, okay, Herbalife Skin Replenishing Night Cream. Now this product here is a product that I definitely talk about a lot. If you guys have me on Instagram, if not, go follow me. I'm most active on Instagram than TikTok, which is really bad. Like one of my goals for the new year is to be more active on TikTok because I literally have the platform, but I feel like TikTok is just not the same like it used to be. So that's why I feel like I'm not really interested in TikTok much. I just don't really post much content like before. So like I'm saying, that's literally one of my goals for social media, is to be more active and utilize the platform, because again I have like over 140k on there. The reason why I brought that up is because I always talk about Herbalife skincare, even like the products I use to rebuild. My parents do the business side of Herbalife, which is like a big well-known company. So I use this skincare line. The products I consume: rebuild, shakes, tea. My parents also have a nutrition shop, which they sell not the products itself. A lot of people get it confused. They think like you can go in there and buy the canisters or like the little tea packets, lift offs. That's not what it is. You buy a shake or a tea, or for those who don't like the tea supplements, you can just get the flavoring. That's what you can get there. Like for me, I'm a lash artist, which if you know, you know, just service providers in general, especially around this time, super booked up and busy where we may not be able to prioritize ourselves, like literally eating. It's so hard to get a little snack in. So what I do is I go to my parents' nutrition shop and I order a shake. So a shake is basically like a meal replacement. I always recommend it to my friends in the industry who, just like me, has a very busy schedule, can't really just get much in as far as like eating, and it's really bad because again, especially like during the holidays, it's just super busy. I always post about Strong Faith Nutrition on my Instagram as well, not just for service providers, but maybe like if you're a teacher or you know, you just go to work, you need that extra boost energy, don't have time for lunch or breakfast, go ahead and get a shake, and it's literally a meal replacement. So you're still getting all of your nutrients and vitamins and stuff that you need. So that's definitely something that I feel like is very helpful. That's why I just love Strong Faith Nutrition. Like, not even trying to be all like that because they're literally my parents. Trust me, if I'm promoting a product, a place, or anything like that, I literally would have to agree for whatever I'm posting. You couldn't pay me no double to post, rant, and rave about your product or whatever it is unless I literally agree with that. Like, that's just how I am. And Strong Faith Nutrition is just that. Like I said, I always recommend it to people just stopping by. I have like loads of flavors and like different options you can choose. So a lot of the times I just tell people, like, just go in there and just ask like what's the best seller, what's recommended. Again, there's just like such a wide selection and variety of like different kind of things, and it literally tastes so bomb. My favorite shake would have to be pistachio ice cream, which if you guys are familiar with pistachio almond ice cream, it literally tastes exact same thing, but again, it has all the vitamins, nutrients, and everything that you need. You can literally get the exact same taste base, but it's like healthy for you, you know, and it's good for your body. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, I just added cocoa butter. I started doing this because of my husband. So my husband loves cocoa butter like everywhere. Face, his arms, his knee. Really good for moisturizer. I remember when I was little, my mom was pregnant with my little brother, and I would always see her put some cocoa butter on her stomach. It just like brought back like memories, and I was like, oh my gosh, like why have I not been doing that? So lately I've been applying very little generous amount, because it's not the lotion, it's this one. If you know, you know, it's literally like oil based, and so you only want to put a little bit because you don't want to look too oily. And so we'll talk about my skin, because knowing what type of skin you have is very vital when you wear makeup, especially because you need to know what type of makeup that you need to get. Normally I have combo skin, which combo skin means both dry and oily. It's like right in the middle. Now around this time of the year, so it's December, when it hits, I want to say October, my skin starts to get really dry. And the reason for that is because we are now entering, you know, the fall season, going into winter season, where the air outside is literally dry, right? And it's cold. And so what happens then is that I need to switch my moisturizers, my primers, and all of that good stuff. And the reason that you need to know what type of skin you have is because there are specific primers and moisturizers made specifically for your skin type. And if you don't take heed to that and you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna use whatever, it really takes like a toll on the base. That's just something for me that is kind of irritating, because the moisturizers I use is just not cheap, especially the skincare. Like I use Herbalife Skin and Dermalogica, which everybody knows Dermalogica is not cheap at all. Point is, make sure you're using the products right for your skin. So I'm trying my best to look here in this area. I tend to look here because I'm looking at my frame myself. But if I look here, I'm so sorry, but this is where my mirror is. Now I'm gonna spray my Dermalogica toner. And usually if I don't have my extensions, which I 99% of the time always have my lashes done, but like for the little 2-day breaks before my lash appointment, I just like spray it directly on my face. But when I have my lashes done, I just spray it on my hand. I'm gonna start with my brows. I always start with my brows. Even back in the days when I was a makeup artist, I would always start on brows for my clients. Again, this is my makeup routine, so if it's not something you do, then it's just not something you do. But me personally, I like to always start with the brows. If y'all don't know, I got my brows done. It is a powdered brow service, which is basically a tattoo. I got them done in April of this year, so what is that? 8 months. 8 months ago was my virgin brow appointment. It looks fine to me. I knew nothing of it. I just knew that the artist that I went to, it took her like an hour to map my brows, and it was expected because this eyebrow is like very arched, so I knew she was gonna have trouble mapping my brows to make them as symmetrical as possible. And I rated the pain like 2.5 out of 10. Honestly, the only part where it felt uncomfortable was the part where they called breaking the skin, and that's just like when they outline and you can't have any numbing cream. That's like the only uncomfortable parts, but as a whole, I'd rate it like a 2.5 out of 10. I personally feel like I have a very high tolerance for pain. Everybody's different. It may feel like nothing to you, but it also may feel like never doing this again to you. Week of my wedding, I got married in May, so we are still pretty newlyweds. And the week of my wedding, the beginning of that week, I got my brow touch-up. Now, the reason for this is because I was so booked up and busy, just crazy. It was like graduation season, so you know how it is for service providers, especially in the beauty industry. I was just so busy, didn't really have time to pamper myself. But in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, my wedding is coming up. Like I gotta get me going, you know? So I finally made time, but it was like an after-hour appointment. I didn't want to do it on the week of, because if you know, you know, especially whenever you have a base, which means like it's already done and you go on top of it. I went on my 6 to 8 week touch-up, and if you know, you know, it'll look darker. My brows did look super dark, I'm not even gonna lie. I was like kind of scared. I was like, oh my god, I don't want to look like blocky dark eyebrows. Obviously, I know the process. When I first got my virgin brows done, my process was beautiful, barely even peeled, so that was good for me. But my wedding week, it was dark, you guys. But by the time my wedding came around, I went to my appointment on Monday, and then my wedding was on a Friday night. It was fine. I mean, still dark, but not like as dark as it was on Monday, so it was kind of like doable. Like, okay, I feel better. But months went by. My husband and I live in Columbia, South Carolina now. But we're back in Dallas for the holidays, you know, to spend it with our families. I said that all to say that when I was in Colombia, I got my brows done. I did a brow lamination and a wax. While she was mapping them, she asked me, she was like, did she map your brows? And I was like, oh yeah, definitely. Like, I knew that for sure because it was like the longest part of the entire service. It took forever. So she was like, okay, but I kind of see her like look at my brows like from a distance, and then she kept like coming close. So I already knew in my head like, what? Like something must look off to her. And mind you, I didn't notice it. I got my brows this lamination in Colombia in October. So it would have been months, like 6 months plus or whatever. She was like, this brow is shorter and thicker. This one is longer and thinner. Now they're not because I ended up getting a correction, so I can't even show you guys. So I was like, oh really? Like I was like, oh, I didn't notice. It was so noticeable, y'all. I was so irritated because I was like, so you mean to tell me I was out here on my wedding day looking crazy and nobody told me? And my sisters all loved it, my mom, everybody loved them, and myself too. And I see myself every day, you know, so I'm like, how could I like have not noticed it? She was mapping them. It was evidently like just not symmetrical. I ended up messaging the girl who did my powder brow service, sent her like the pictures with the mapping, and I was just like, you know, hey, it's been months. I got my brows done and my brow artist said this, this, and this, and I sent it to her, and she even looked at it and was like, wow, like that is very noticeable, and we didn't notice it, you know? So thank God she didn't charge me to do a correction. I did a correction, I want to say 3 weeks ago. They're very symmetrical now. I was just like a whole mess, but shout out to Gotti because she ended up fixing them. I love them now. They're as symmetrical as they can be, and they just look super gorgeous. So shout out to Gotti. She was very understanding. Again, she didn't charge me to do a correction and a little touch up. Really appreciate her and her work because her work is gorgeous. Everybody makes mistakes, but she was able to fix it, and I love her for that. So these are the brows, you guys. This is about 3 weeks. I'm gonna start on my brows. I'm gonna show you guys a little bit while I do my brows, but I like to take my most time just focusing on my brows, just concealing them, just so that they can look a little bit more cleaner, more sharp. I take this flat brush. I believe this is an old Morphe brush. So just any flat brush is good. And then I go in with my e.l.f. Camo Hydrating Concealer in the shade Light Sand. I don't know if y'all can see. This I use just to conceal underneath my brows, and then onto the top I use my foundation shade. I like to start in the front of my brows and then work towards the end. Okay, it'll look something like this. The reason why I take like the most time while doing my brows is because I try to get it as close as I can to my brow tat. My thick brow era was so like 2018, 2017. I gotta do them as thin as I can get them. Okay, y'all, I just finished concealing my brows. Now I go in with my Miss A brush. Now let me tell you guys real quick, do not sleep on Miss A brushes, okay? I know y'all may be like, she cheap, dollar brushes, like really? Yeah, dollar brushes, like really, because literally so bomb. I'm literally gonna do like a TikTok comparing like high-end brushes like Real Techniques versus Miss A brushes, Morphe brushes versus Miss A brushes. Does the job and does the job pretty damn good. Okay, so this is a Miss A brush in E101, and it looks like this. And the reason for this brush is to blend out my concealer. This is my brows, blend it out. Super good to pat in the concealer. Never swipe because it does leave those lines. Now again, for the top, I like to go in with my foundation, which I use Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 concealer and foundation. This is my holy grail. I always talk about this foundation. It does literally wonders. I also have the Frankie Rose foundation, which I recently stopped using just because I prefer the Milani one. Also, if I'm being honest, definitely not worth the price. Some people might be like, girl, you're tripping. But girl, you're tripping paying $42 for a foundation. No, ma'am. I don't know. This is just my preference. So from here, I like to set my eyelids because I have very hooded lids, and because I have concealer on it, it's going to crease. And so what I like to do is take my loose setting powder and put it in my crease to set the concealer. I'm going to use a brush like this, and for my setting powder I use the Beauty Creations in Honey Me by Filter. So this is definitely a good tip and trick for those girlies who put concealer on their eyelids so it doesn't move. Pat it all in the crease. Shout out to Chosen Studios because she did my lashes and they look bomb. So for my base, I'm going to do a bit different. This makeup trend on TikTok where like the sound says something like carved top brow, carved bottom brow, middle, other side. If you know what I'm talking about, I literally did that trend. My makeup did come out looking the same, which is why I'm going to do that today. I feel like I love the underpainting method. That's basically what it is. I am going to start with concealer. I use the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in Night Sand. Majority of my highest points of my face, and then I go back in with my Juvia's Place concealer. Juvia's Place concealer in the shade color 19. I love this because I love a super bright under eyes, so this is obviously lighter than this. So this is like what's popping in my head right now. You know how like there's those girlies who are like, I'm just a concealer girly, like okay mama, go off. But I was literally talking about this to my sister and we were cracking up because usually when those girls say I'm just a concealer girly, they literally put the concealer all over their face like as if it's foundation. And what's funny is because they're basically saying like concealer you use as a less coverage as foundation and being like a full face girly. So they're trying to make it seem like, oh, I don't need all that makeup, but they're still using the same amount of products as you would for like foundation. And my sister and I was just rolling because it was just like the funniest thing ever. Then I'm gonna go in with my Juvia's Place and I'm going to basically connect here, and then that's it. Now what I'm gonna do is apply my Anastasia Cinnamon. A lot of my TikTok girlies always ask what contour I use, and it's from this palette that I showed you guys. I don't know if they even sell this one anymore. Literally never fails. And I take this brush for Miss A E106 and it looks like this. I go in and add my contour. Contouring and bronzing is my favorite part of my makeup routine. With my concealer, I take Beauty Blender here and it's stamped, but I like to go in and spray it with my MAC Prep and Prime. Now that my concealer is all blended out, I'm gonna go in and blend out my contour. This is from Miss A F3 brush and it looks like this. My husband and I are going to make 4 laps around the sun a week in some days. I feel like I want to vlog, but the only reason why I'm debating is because times like that, especially like when I'm with my husband, I like to enjoy it and like not be like glued to like a phone or like a camera, you know. I want to be like in the moment. I'll definitely take maybe like a reel on Instagram. But the reason why I'm getting ready is because I have a podcast with my mom called Women of War. I'm actually wearing a Women of War tee, which is my mom's women's group. And basically, if you guys don't know me personally, I'm very like faith-based. Always talk about Jesus, and I just grew up in the church, and I always grew up in a home where we love Jesus, we serve Jesus. Church every week was like non-negotiable. And so my mom leads a women's group called Women of War, and it's for women of all ages, you know, through different walks of life. And so basically we come together every Fridays, which I recently moved with my husband to Columbia, South Carolina, like I said earlier in the video. So I'm not always there attending, but when I'm back in town, of course I attend. You know, we preach, share our testimonies, worship God together. Always like tell people like, you know, join, sit in 6:30 every Fridays. So prior to before like starting her women's group, it was just me and my mom, and we started a podcast called Women of War podcast on Instagram. And so I'm going to be filming a series on my personal Instagram page. I started a series called Finding a Godly Husband, and that's what I'm going to be filming today with my mom. That's why I'm getting ready right now. But all that to say is that follow us on Instagram if you're not. We're going to have weekly videos out at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And again, if you're here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, join in every Fridays at 6:30 p.m. in Fort Worth, Texas, where you can literally be in person with the group. So I always encourage people to join in and just get connected. You know, it's really important to connect yourself and like surround yourself with women who are encouraging and like helping you with your walk. Now I'm going to go in with my foundation, which I told you guys earlier is the Milani 2-in-1, okay? And then I use my brush here, which is an F3 brush from Miss A. Now I'm going to go in with my e.l.f. putty blush. I got this in South Carolina. Okay, so this brush, first of all, she's dirty, so don't mind. But this is a F9 brush. The only thing that I would say about this blush is that once you apply it, like I literally would apply this much. Once I blended it, it didn't show much color. Like it's good to build up, but I always put a lot on because it would take a lot off when I blended it. When I go in with a beauty blender, I like to use this part of it, and it is damped already, but I always spray just a little bit. At this point on my makeup routine, I'm literally almost done. All of my makeup products are really inexpensive. I feel like some products may be a little pricey. Majority of them is definitely reasonable, I feel like. Now I need to bake. So I got these 2 powder puffs from my sister, and I like to use it for setting powder. But before I do that, I'm gonna go back in with my Juvia's Place shade 19 concealer. I'm just gonna go in and like blend out that concealer, and I like this just to brighten up the under eye. I love me a bright under eye. Now I'm gonna go in with loose setting powder that I was talking to you guys about. I like to get as close as I can to like the bridge of my nose, like that. I basically powder my entire face, especially like around here where my smile lines are. Okay, so now that I'm baking, I literally bake for a good amount of time, and while I bake, I do my lips. So it's this Morphe lip liner in the color Chippy. It looks like this, and it's more like a pinky tone, which if you know me, then you know that I literally love like my brown nude lippies, but just watch. And I like to start at my Cupid's bow preference, I guess. Okay, so my lips will look something like this. And basically I just fill in the corners and down here as well. Personally, I don't like just like the little line look. I like to fill them in a bit. Then I go in with my Revlon Nude Attitude lipstick. It's matte. And it looks like this. This is the color, you guys. How freaking gorgeous. This is like my go-to lipstick color, okay? Like something similar to this. And then I just like dab it. So again, like the lip liner, it's more like a pinky nudie tone. And it'll look something like this. Okay, but I'm gonna go back in after I'm finished baking to conceal, and then we're done. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is take my brush whenever I'm about to start blending out my powder. This is my tip, or just something that I prefer to do. So I'll start with like dabbing it in, but then I'll go in here and there and like swipe it, but still continue to dab it, if that makes sense. We're gonna go back in with my concealer to clean up the lips. I'll go back in with the concealer brush that I use to blend out my concealer. Okay guys, so that's literally it on my makeup routine. I'm gonna put like all the products that I use, names, price, all of that on the screen for you guys. It was just super fun to kind of have a little chit chat slash makeup routine video. And my hair is looking a little crazy. This is day 3 hair. Look at these layers. So cute. Okay guys, so this is it for my YouTube video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Comment down which part was your favorite, and also what video y'all want to see next. Turn on that bell to be notified every single time we drop. And I'll see y'all on my next video.